Hi everybody, I'm Elise from the blog LePetitSaintCrochet.com, and today we are talking all about yarn organization. I hope you get as excited about organizing things as I do. You might look around my house and think, lady, you don't really like to organize, but I actually really do. I just end up with too much stuff, and so it doesn't look super organized. But today I do want to talk about organizing our yarn stash, why I think it is super important, why it will help save you some money, but I'm going to be bringing you my best tips. I hope they're good tips. I have a full, let me get it out, workbook, a yarn workbook for you. It's free on my blog. I'm going to link it in the description box below. And I am going to teach you a new trick that I just learned for determining what weight of yarn you have in your stash that you lost the ball band for, and now you have no idea what the weight of that yarn is. I'm going to teach you a little trick. That way you can get yourself super organized, even with that mystery yarn. All of us have yarn, and some of us have a little too much, to be exact, but the problem really isn't in how much we have, but how we manage it. When I first got into crocheting, I wanted to have all of my yarn out, and I wanted it to be color coded, and I wanted it to be beautiful to look at. But then I got real, and I realized that that wasn't practical at all. That did not serve me, because I needed to separate these into more functional sections. I needed a better system for organizing, and making it just pretty wasn't working for me. So I developed this system kind of over time, and I've tweaked it here and there, but I really love how I do it now. But first, make sure you get your free workbook. It's really helpful. You can print it, you can keep it on your computer, you can only print out the pages that you need, but this is going to be a really great resource for you, and I'm going to walk you through each one of the steps. Like I said, it's free. You will find a link for it in the description box below, and I'm going to walk you through each one of the sections. I've got a little handy dandy how-to, some of my suggestions for how to use your workbook. The next part is the yarn weights section, and this is really the foundation for how we are going to organize our yarn. That's the way I do it. That's the way I have found it to be most helpful, especially because I mostly crochet and knit toys, so I really need to separate my yarns by weight. That's what works for me. So I created this little chart for weights, the numbers for them, names that they're commonly used, and also something that we're going to talk about here in a minute is the wraps per inch. And that's going to help you if you have a mystery ball of yarn somewhere and someone gifted it to you or you lost the ball band, and I'm going to show you exactly how to determine what weight your mystery yarn is. The next part is your catalog. We're going to catalog all of our yarn. This is what makes me so deliriously excited. I'm kind of nerdy about this kind of thing, but it really will help because you're going to be able to see what you have. And I think that that is the most important point, because most of us don't need to buy more yarn. I know I said it. I feel like a heretic right now in the crafting community, but most of us don't really need more yarn. We probably already have something in our yarn stash. So by cataloging what we have, we're going to be able to know that we know that we know that we have the correct yarn for a project. Your catalog is going to be broken up by yarn weight. It's going to go all the way from super fine all the way up to jumbo. I'm going to walk you through it in just a minute when I catalog my own yarn. And then the final section are printable yarn labels. These you can print out on regular paper, or you can print them on cardstock and adhere them to the outside of your baskets or your totes that you're keeping your yarn in. That way you know, this is my fine yarn, this is my worsted weight yarn, this is my jumbo yarn. You will know exactly what is in that particular container, so you don't have to go rummaging around and try to remember what in the world did I put in that tote right there. You will know. You'll be able to see it. And you can print out one page at a time. So for me, I don't need to print out all of these pages because I mostly only have a couple of weights of yarn, because mostly I am knitting and crocheting toys. I have no jumbo or bulky yarn in my my stash, so I don't need to print those pages out. What I have learned by having my yarn stash organized this way is that when you know exactly what yarn you have and you know precisely where it is, then you are cooking with gas. That is a phrase my husband loves to use, but you will save money, and I would imagine most of us need to save a little bit of money, especially when it comes to hobby related costs. So the next time you find that perfect pattern on Ravelry, you can know immediately if you have the yarn that you need for that pattern, because to me that is such a great thing to know. That way you can say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and buy that pattern because I have all the yarn I need and I know exactly where it is. The very first step that you're going to need to do is to determine your yarn weight. So this is the Barocco Vintage, and if you have your yarn label already, this is how you will find out what weight your yarn is. So if you look on the back of your yarn label, a lot of them will have a number, and this is a 4. So you can look in your worksheet and it will show you that a number 4 is a medium weight yarn. This is considered a worsted weight. You will also find words like worsted or Aran weight or DK, and those are actually listed in your worksheet as well, and they have a number system and a word system. That is usually the way you will be able to find out. I've actually found some yarn that when it even does have a label, it doesn't say specifically what the weight of yarn is, and I think I have seen that on some Hobby Lobby yarn before. But one of the things that you can do is just Google the brand and the name of your yarn and look up what is the weight of it. You will usually be able to find out that information. But if you don't have that, I learned an amazing trick from Stacy from Very Pink Knits. I will leave a link for her amazing YouTube channel in the description box below. She has so many wonderful tutorials for knitting, but I really loved this trick that she shared to learn how to identify your yarn if you're missing that yarn label and you have no idea what the weight is. So if you are actually missing your ball band, you have no idea what weight of yarn your mystery wool is, I've got a little help for you right here. So you will find on your yarn weights and your WPI chart that each one of your yarns shows the weight. So we're going to look at, here's the light. The WPI for a light or a DK or a light worsted weight is 11. So I know that this is most likely a medium weight yarn, and a medium weight has a WPI of 8 to 9, and WPI stands for wraps per inch. What that means is that you need to have some type of a tool. Now this is just a pencil, and I've wrapped my pencil with painter's tape. That way this section between the two pieces of tape is actually exactly 1 inch. So as I am wrapping my yarn, I know that this is exactly 1 inch because I measured it and then I taped it off exactly. So we want to make sure that we are not wrapping too tightly, that we're keeping it nice and loose, but that it is right up next to our tape. And if it does get a little bit over, we just barely scoot it over. And we're going to go all the way to the edge. And there's a little bit, and I'm going to see if that, especially since I'm going to scoot these, there's a little gap there. And now I scooted them a little bit too much. So now we're just going to count how many wraps we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this is the 9th wrap. It's kind of come over a little bit. And when you're doing this and not trying to film it, it's a lot easier when you're just sitting at home. But when I look and I can see that my medium weight should have somewhere between 8 and 9 wraps. So you can do this with any type of yarn. You can try it, you can experiment, and you can make sure where your tension is, because especially if you know what the weight of your yarn is, you can look to make sure that you have the correct number of wraps and what your tension should be for that. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was pretty clear, and it's a really great tool to have. I'm going to keep this in my little box of little notions. That way, anytime I don't know what my yarn is, I can pull this out. So I've got my little worksheet out, and this is for the medium weight yarns, which are Afghan, Aran, and worsted. Now, almost all of these yarns in this little drawer here are Aran weight yarns. This is my Paint Box Wool Mix Aran, but my problem is I have other yarns in here that aren't the correct weight, so I need to get these these out of here and store them properly. There's a couple of them that I don't know the weight of them. I'm gonna write down what is the total number of skeins of paint box wool mix Aran I have, and I'm gonna actually list the colors and how many of each color that I have. And that way I will know when I am going to do a project, if I want to use this yarn, exactly what do I have and where I am storing it. Now these are 2 balls of wool that do not belong in here. I actually don't know what these are. I don't have the ball bands anymore. So I'm gonna have to figure out what weight of yarn these are. I have a feeling that they are a DK or a sport weight, but I'm not really sure. So I'm gonna use my little tool and figure that out. But I'm gonna put them aside for now because I'm really focusing on my paint box wool mix Aran, and I have a couple of other places that I have some of this yarn stored. So I need to make sure I know where everything is and get it cataloged. Now that I've actually cataloged my yarn, my paint box wool mix Aran, and gotten rid of some of those mystery yarns and put them aside for now, I'm going to just group colors together because I think that that will just be visually pleasing, as well as helping me to see how many reds do I have, how many yellows do I have, oh, maybe I need a few more blues here and there. So I really like this system of going through your weight, then the brand, and then the color. That really helps me to keep not only my stash organized, but to help me to know what I have and where it is. The next thing to do is I'm just going to cut out my little label because I'm going to put it right on the outside of my drawer here. That way I will remember that this is my medium weight yarn in here. And I'm telling you, I love how this all looks with the colors all coordinated. It just makes me feel really good to know that that's the only thing in here, and I know what colors I have, and I just think it looks really beautiful. It's gonna look so pretty on there. One of the things that I like to do is to use these little glue dots. I feel like they work really, really well instead of double-sided tape, and I just stick it on the back here. It doesn't leave a sticky mess on the back of things, and I just like how it sticks right here, and it will adhere really well to this, and it's just simple to use. While there are a lot of things in this world that we can't control, we can control our yarn stash. We can get it exactly the way we want it. We can color code it. We can get them all organized and divided and categorized into yarn weights. And I really hope that you found some of these tips helpful. Make sure to get your free workbook, your super simple, wait, what is it called again? Make sure to get your simple yarn organizer printable. You will find a link for it in the description box below. As always, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. If you like this video, if you would please hit that like button, and if you would subscribe to my channel, that would be amazing. And I love when you share where you're from. I just think it's so amazing. You guys let me know that you're from these beautiful places in England and Australia and South America. And to be honest, I'm a little bit jealous. Yes, I live in plain old North Carolina in the United States. It is pretty beautiful here, but it doesn't seem exciting like so many of the places you guys share with me. So please keep telling me where you're from. I absolutely love it. But thank you so much for stopping by. Happy stitching and stay safe out there.